Hello learners, welcome to this session on tourism market segmentation, concept and approaches. So in this session, what we are going to do is, there are certain objectives that I have lined out for you. So after this session, you will be able to understand what is meant by market segmentation. And we will also know about the general market segmentation theory. You will also appreciate the need for market segmentation in tourism, as well as you would understand the approaches of segmenting market by tourism enterprises. See, if we look at any tourism organization or enterprise, be it the Ministry of Tourism at the central level. In India, we have the Ministry of Tourism, and then there are various departments of tourism at the state level, or if you look at the tour operators or travel agencies or hotels, etc. Each has their own marketing objectives depending upon the nature, structure and function. However, all of them have some common marketing objectives. Now, some of the common marketing objectives of this organization, they broadly include, number one, understanding the tourist's needs, wants and tastes and attitudes. Now, this is very important, especially for product designing and development, because it is only when we know what the tourist wants, then we can plan how to fulfill those wants or those needs or those desires. Another marketing objective is achieving sustainable growth in tourist arrivals. The more the number of tourists, the more revenue it brings to the business. Now, this is understandable, but at the same time, the objective is to aim for sustainable increase in the number of tourist arrivals, meaning the increase in number should be such that businesses and the tourism destinations, they are capable of providing services and experiences, that too at a steady level without compromising on the quality and without exploiting all the resources that are at hand. In fact, if more tourists are there and businesses are not able to provide quality services, then it becomes more harmful, more detrimental, because unsatisfied tourists, what they do is they will give and spread negative word of mouth review. Then the destination suffers. Yet another objective is increasing tourist traffic during lean season. So this is another objective, marketing objective of almost all the tourist organizations. See, seasonality is a major issue in tourism. We have the peak and the lean tourist season. In the peak season, which we also call as the tourist season, all service providers are busy to the hilt and all infrastructures are utilized to the maximum. You see, the hotel rooms are full. The tour operators, they recruit more staffs to handle the increased demand. The airlines are full. Even small eateries and entertainment centers at destination, they earn more revenue because the tourists are there. On the other hand, the lean or the off-season, that is when less tourists are around, this is often associated with problems. The most common problem being unreserved hotel rooms and unsold airline seats, and of course people being laid off from jobs because it is temporary in nature. Again, another marketing objective is attempting to increase the length of stay of tourists. The length of stay of a tourist at a destination is directly proportional to the amount of money spent. For example, if the cost of a hotel room is rupees 3,000 per day or night, so if the guest, he or she books the room only for 2 days, obviously the cost will be then 3,000 into 2, which is 6,000 rupees. Whereas if he stays for 4 days and he books it for 4 days, the cost will be double, that is rupees 12,000. One of the most common problems in popular destination during the peak tourist season is the problem of overcrowding, which in turn impact the quality of tourist experiences. So another important marketing objective is to disperse or divert the tourists to new destination. Here, the main challenge is to develop and market the new destinations in such a way that the tourists should be convinced, as well as they should be willing to change their holiday destination from their first choice of the popular destination to the new destination. Obviously, there should be certain extra which will compel them to go to the new destination. Yet another common marketing objective of tourism organization is increasing their own profits, their image, their popularity, etc. This is understandable. Now, for achieving such objectives, one needs to know the market or the markets which an organization wants to cater to, and this will in turn affect the entire marketing strategy, right from product design to how the products will be distributed, and also the amount of profit which the organization will get. Here it is very necessary to define what the term market means. Well, the term market, it can be used in various aspects. For example, it can be used to refer to tourist markets, that is the tourist generating countries or region, the place where the tourist comes from, whether they're coming from America, whether they're coming from Africa. For example, for India, the main tourist generating countries are Bangladesh, United States of America, and the United Kingdom. Market also means a network of intermediaries who buy and sell your product. For example, let us take a tour operator. What does a tour operator do? A tour operator designs a tour package, so he buys airline seats and hotel rooms in bulk. So for the hotels and the airlines, apart from selling their products to individual customers, the tour operators are their main intermediary buyers, or we can say the main market who buys their product. Now, market, they also refer to the nature of demand for service product, say market for the hotel or the airline. The market for a product further relates to the functions which is served by the product and the other competitive products. At the same time, we know that a market consists of buyers or prospective buyers, and every organization, they like to get as many buyers as possible. But however, it is not possible to reach all the prospective buyers because of their wide dispersion and varied buying requirements. In fact, the buyers or the customers, they differ from each other in many respects. Let us see a few of them. They will be differing in their needs and wants, their purchasing power. Some may have more disposable income and can afford an expensive tour package, while another may be a budget tourist on a budget income. Then the buying attitudes. Some buyers are impulsive buyers. What they like at first glance, they buy, while some may do a thorough research before making a purchase decision. Then another difference is in holiday taste and motives for travel. Some of the tourists, they may come for pilgrimage purpose. Some may be for visiting ecotourism destination. Some for cultural exploration. The reasons are varied. In the case of tourism, every individual is a potential tourist, and we know they are located in different regions all over the world. Hence, the organization, what they should do is, instead of competing everywhere, they need to identify the most attractive consumer that it can serve most effectively. In other words, the organization, they need to focus its efforts in marketing to a well-defined group of potential customers. This is where an understanding of market segmentation becomes very necessary. Market segmentation, let us see how we define it. Market segmentation is the process whereby producers or the suppliers, they organize their knowledge of customer groups and select for particular attention those groups whose needs and wants they are best able to supply with their products or their services. Hence, market segmentation, what does it involve? It involves a division of the prospective market into identifiable groups. In simple words, it can be defined, that is, market segmentation can be defined as the division of a market into groups of segments having similar wants, which means this theory is opposed to a diluting of efforts by appealing to an entire market and is based on a realization of the fact that a product can be sold more effectively if efforts are concentrated towards those groups which are most potential, which means you target the most potential group. Now, tourism is a very competitive industry. We have a plethora of tourism destinations, tourism products and services to choose from. Therefore, it becomes necessary to stay one step ahead of competitors. And one of the most efficient ways is to identify and understand market segment the organization wants to target, and then concentrating all efforts to fulfill the needs and expectation of that particular segment of customers. Otherwise, the competitors will be in a better position to go after that particular segment of the market. Each organization, instead of trying to reach everyone, should identify the most attractive parts of the market that it could effectively serve. So this is the whole essence of market segmentation. Having said this, however, if we look at the way organizations function, especially in their thinking about operating in a market, the organizations, they have generally passed through the following three stages. One is mass marketing. Now, mass marketing, this is a marketing style where the organization makes effort to attract every single buyer to use its product, which has been mass produced and will be mass distributed. Here, no attention is paid to consumer preferences. The main emphasis is on mass production and mass distribution. So if you look at it, it is all about the product that they have developed. The second is style of marketing is the product differentiated marketing. Now, in this marketing style, what the organization do is the organization produces 2 or more products for the entire market. Now, these products that they have produced, they might have different characteristics, but they are not designed for any specific or any different groups. Rather, they only provide alternatives to every buyer in the market. So it is not about specification. It is they have just given alternative to the buyers. Then the third style of marketing is the target marketing. In target marketing, what happens is the organization, they first differentiate among varied market segments, and then they focuses on one or more of these segments, which we call as target segment, and then develops the product to meet the needs of the target market. Let us take the example of Indian Railway vis-a-vis the tourist market and the 3 different types of marketing styles we have discussed. Under stage 1 or the mass marketing style, You see, trains are available for everyone to travel. Railways is a means of mass transportation available to all, this we know. In fact, it is the most popular and the most affordable means of transportation for long distance travel in India. Then under stage 2 or product differentiated marketing, the Indian Railways, they offer Rajdhani trains, they offer Shatabdi trains. Now here they are offering more facilities. They are more faster and also the price is more as compared to the normal passengers train. Here options are there for the passengers. Either you go by Rajdhani or you go by Shatabdi. Then under stage 3, or we call as target marketing, Indian Railways, they have trains like Palace on Wheels or the Royal Orient. Now this type of trains, they have a set target of customers from among the up budget tourist market. So they are in fact like luxury hotels with all appropriate facilities, justifiable with the high pricing strategy. And these trains, they are very popular with foreign tourists who can afford to travel in luxury. And we have so many other trains apart from these two which I have mentioned. So in tourism, the organizations, they practice all this style of marketing, though the emphasis on target marketing is gaining ground. So this shift of emphasis from mass and product differentiated marketing to target marketing is because of the benefits in target marketing, or what we call as market segmentation. One of the benefit is by selecting the market niches, that is suitable market, an organization, they can exploit the market much better. Now the second advantage is that the organization can focus its strategy more appropriately on the target groups, or customer loyalties can be instituted through segmented marketing because the product, it matches the needs of that segment. This is quite understandable. If you are giving them what they are looking for, then obviously they will also be satisfied and will be more loyal to the product that you have. However, it must be noted that the same customer can be there under different description for various segments. We may segment tourist market based on different factors or parameters. When we do market segmentation by tourist motive, we can segment them as adventure tourists or cultural tourists, medical tourists, or there are tourists who go to, say, beaches, there are tourists who prefers hill station, and so on. Again, another type of segmentation, the criteria may be the income groups. So the segment may be higher income group, middle income group, and lower income group. See, a particular tourist can be a part of both the segmentation group. For example, an adventure tourist belonging to a higher income group, or a cultural tourist in a lower income group, and so on. So they can be in 2 or 3 of these segments. Now what does this tell us? This tells us that organizations uses various parameters and their combinations to segment their market and in fact to identify their target market. So far we have learned that the purpose of market segmentation, especially in tourism marketing. We have learned that we segment the market generating tourists and identify the prospective tourists according to lifestyles, socio-economic status, attitudes about travel, etc. That is, the parameters are there. Now, why we do is, we do it so as to best qualify this tourist for high prospect customer status. This high potential prospect is defined in terms of how closely his or her vacation preferences and lifestyle match up to what the destination has to offer. So in other words, the purpose is to go for cost-effective marketing. Now, this can be achieved by designing, promoting, and delivering the tourism products or services in such ways that the identical needs of the target groups are satisfied. A crucial aspect here is what is grouped in forming market segments. Consumers are not mutually exclusive categories, and what is grouped together is the customer's probability of purchasing different types of product offers. Hence, it is necessary to understand what is wanted and who is going to buy it. A marketing person therefore has to gain knowledge about this, and he or she can approach this problem by asking certain questions. So the approach to market segmentation is by asking and answering a number of relevant questions. Let us see the type of questions which should be asked before identifying and deciding the target market. These questions will pertain to what, how, where, when, and why and who questions. So these are the different types of questions. We will see them one by one. Now let us see the questions which are starting with what. First is, what factors influence the tourist demand? Supposing if there is a company which gives paid holidays, that means you are going on a holiday but they are not deducting any money from your salary. So this is paid holidays. And then in the government sector in India also we have the LTC. So if you are given an LTC, the benefit of LTC, then obviously it will generate demand for tourists to go and visit certain other destinations. So this factors, such type of factors which influence the tourist demand, this we should know. Then what are the services which the tourists expect? The type of services which tourists expect, this also the organization, they need to know before deciding on their target market. Because once the expectation is known to them, then they can compare with the products or the services that they have. If it is matching, then they can target that group. If it is not matching, then they have to look for other segment. Another question is, what is the basis for tourists comparing your product with other products? Now this is very interesting. You should, as an organization or as a marketing professional, what you need to do is you need to put yourself in the shoes of the tourists, and then you have to compare why I would want this product and why I do not want this product. Well, if you look at it, all these things, they are all related. The demand that is being the factors which influence the demand or the services which the tourists expect, it will always have a bearing on the type of product which is available. So the organization, they need to know the basis for the tourists for comparing the products which is available in the market. What benefits do the tourists seek? So benefits and expectations are different. Expectation is more of an intangible thing, whereas benefits is, it has got a tangible touch to it, in the sense if I am buying a tour package, what do I get out of it? In terms of say, do I get a discount in the tour package price that I am looking for if I book 10 tour packages group? So that benefit, why do the benefits that the tourists seek, that is also very important. Then what risks do the tourists perceive? This is again an important question which needs to be asked. And what are the taste of the tourists? What do the tourists want? Now the next question relates to how. How do tourists buy is one question which definitely needs to be answered. How much are the tourists willing to spend? This will give the organization a platform to understand how much they can do their pricing strategies. Pricing is part of the marketing mix. So if the tourists are not willing to spend, then if your price is very high, they will not come to you for your service or your product. So how much the tourists are willing to spend, this is an important question. Then how many vacations do the tourists take in a year? Different tourists or different people have different style of taking vacation. If there is a family with children and they cannot take the vacation throughout the year, it will be specific to when the schools have vacations, they have their holidays. So these families, they usually plan their holidays during the summer vacation or the winter vacation or the autumn break, whatever vacation that the school has. Whereas if it is say a family or couple without any children, so depending upon the type of holiday or the type of break that they get from the office or the leave that they get from the office, then they can plan their holidays. So this question of how many vacations do the tourists take in a year is again very important. Then, how does promotion and advertising affect the tourist demand? This is more of a technical, has got a technical aspect in the sense, if you are doing a promotion campaign, a promotional campaign, what effect if people are perceptive to it, they are responsive to it. Now this we also need to understand. Then how does the tourist fit into the lifestyles of tourists? How does the product fit into the lifestyles of tourists? Again, this is important. Based on the different lifestyles of different people, the type of products that they purchase or the type of products which they expect will also be different. Let us now go to another type of questions. Where questions. Where do the tourists make a decision to buy the product? Now, this is again an interesting question. There are tourists who decide from home that we are going to buy this tour package, but once they reach the tour operator's office and then they have these brochures for so many different destinations, then they might be tempted to change it, and some tourists, some prospective tourists do change it. So where do the tourists make a decision to buy the product is important. Where do the tourists buy the product is again important. There are so many prospective tourists who buy online products. They do the buying thing online, or there are some tourists, many of them in fact, who plan their own itinerary. So what they do is they go to the website directly and then they buy or they book the room, the hotel rooms, or they buy the tour packages. And another question related to when. When do tourists take a decision? This I have discussed when I was talking about the part of how. And when do tourists take a vacation? Do they take it on weekends? Do they take it during the summer vacation? Do they take it during the winter vacation? And when I was discussing about the type of or how many vacations do tourists take, I have already touched upon this. When do tourists take a vacation? This is like I said, very important. When do tourists make a decision to buy the product? Do they make the decision 6 months before they buy, or do they on the spur of the moment they just take a decision and then they buy the product? Or when is the product repurchased? That means you have tourists who have already purchased a product and they are again rebuying it or repurchasing it. So this data is also very important. Now let us come to the questions on why. Why do tourists buy your product? This relates to the motive of why do tourists want it. Why do the tourists choose one destination over the other? There are a plethora of destinations, so many destinations, but a tourist is going to a particular destination. Why? Because it may be one reason, maybe they have already visited the other destinations and then they want to try this one. Or it may be a very popular destination at the moment. People are all going for it. A celebrity has gone to it and then they have advertised, promoted, so they would want to go and visit it. Or they have a sentimental attachment to a destination, or it is their hometown that they go every year. So why do tourists choose one destination over the other is also important. And why do tourists go to a particular destination? This questions, it looks similar, but if you look very carefully, this has got the answers that you will get from this. If you calculate it very carefully, and it will have a different answer or a different clientele group when you analyze that. Why do the tourists prefer one type of service and not the other? Why do the tourists buy your competitors' product? This is important because when you know why they are buying your competitors' product, then you can do an analysis or you can do an introspection of your product vis-a-vis the customer product, and then you can say what is lacking in yours. And if it is not lacking, why they are not coming to you and they are going to the competitors? Maybe the competitors are marketing it well, or maybe there are certain benefits in the competitors' market which is lacking in yours. So this the organization need to find out. The next question is the who question. Who buys your product? Who buys your competitors' product? So you are classifying and making it into specific group now. Who buys your product? Who buys your competitors' products? And who are likely to buy your product? You are broadening it and then trying to find the prospective buyers for your product. And then it is also equally important to ask a question, who may not be interested in your product? Why this is important is when you know who is not interested in your product, then again you can revert back why they are not interested in your product. Is it because they do not know the full benefits or the full characteristics of the elements of the product that you are offering? Or is it because there is something lacking in this? So the who questions will obviously generate the why questions. So these are some of the questions which the organization has to ask before they identify their target market. Now you must remember that all these questions, they are only subjective. And the nature of questions, obviously they will depend upon the nature of the product and certain specific situation. And then again, backup data and information for finding answers to these questions will also be needed. This is again altogether another different aspect. So depending upon a study's purpose, various approaches are employed in the tourism industry to identify the market segments. Segments can be defined either by descriptive or causal factors. Descriptive factors simply describe the characteristics of the person found in a segment, whereas the whys of a person, it is obtained through additional use of causal factors information which identifies the motivation behind a decision. So a practical and actionable segmentation, it requires profiling of both past visitors and prospective visitors. So the studies of many marketing experts, we have come to know that certain segments have got characteristics and each segment must be discrete. That is, the separate identity of the subgroup must be established by using any criteria like income, purpose, interest, etc. Then each segment should be measurable. That is, the characteristics that distinguish the subgroups should be measurable through the available data. Then the segment should be viable. The cost of the segment, the profit that it brings, it should be more than the cost of designing of the marketing mix. Then the elements should be appropriate, showing the inseparability of the tourism product which should contribute to overall image in the market, and the segment should be sustainable. That is, it must have sufficient potential to be seen as a continuing source of tourists. So let us now sum up what we have learned so far. We have discussed about what we meant by market segmentation. We have also gone through the general market segmentation theory, why there is a need for market segmentation in tourism, and we have also touched upon the approaches of segmenting market by tourism enterprises. So I hope this concept of market segmentation is clear to you now. Thank you so much. We'll meet you in the next session.